Another explosive update in the Karen Reed trial. If you haven't been able to keep up, let's break it down like we always do. Last week, the judge declared a mistrial in Karen Reed's case. What that means is that the jurors could not decide whether she was guilty or innocent of all the charges, or so we thought. Put a pin in that. But what happens when the mistrial is declared is the defendant, in this case, Karen Reed, is free to leave, and the prosecution is free to decide if they want to retry the case again. So essentially, they get a second bite at the apple. They can decide to have the trial all over again because the jury did not decide, the jurors did not decide whether the person was guilty or innocent. Rumors were flying. People thought maybe the jury was split down the middle. Maybe 6 jurors thought that she was guilty. Maybe 6 jurors thought that she was not guilty on each charge. And as a result, they were just deadlocked. But it turned out that it was a little bit more complex than that. One of the jurors watching the news saw the inaccurate descriptions of the split, the 6-6 split, for example, and contacted the defense attorney and said, that's not true. Actually, we unanimously agreed that Karen Reed is not guilty of count 1, second-degree murder. The jurors also agreed that Karen Reed was not guilty of count 3, which is leaving the scene of an accident with injury or death. So the jurors did make a decision on 2 of the counts instead of, as previously believed, not being able to make a decision on any of the counts. And so in response to that, the defense attorney is saying because the jurors did make a decision on counts 1 and count 3, those 2 counts should be dismissed. Karen Reed should not be tried again for those offenses because the jurors have already determined that she is not guilty. This goes right back to juror confusion, right? If you'll recall, in the case, we had that verdict slip debacle where the defense attorney was saying, no, it's unclear whether the jurors can find Karen Reed not guilty on some of these charges. Here again, it was unclear, obviously, to the jurors that they could find Karen Reed not guilty on some of the charges and be deadlocked on other charges. They clearly did not understand that. So again, we've seen these kind of issues with verdict slips and unclear instructions to the juror throughout the pendency, or at least throughout the end of this trial. This is exactly why we're having that discussion. And I was telling you guys, in my opinion, what's common sense to one person is not common sense to another person. Just because you understand how to fill out a verdict slip does not mean another person would understand that. And just because you might have understood to write not guilty on some charges and not the others doesn't mean that the 12 jurors in that deliberation room understood that. You need very clear instructions. And in this case, we didn't have that. And that's why I think we are where we are.